Welcome to the Points Taken podcast. My name is James Keeley. With me, as always, is Sammy Schaefer. How you doing, Sammy?
I'm good.
You're looking good. I think you cleaned up your act. It's really going well for you this year. How's 2025 going for you, Sammy?
It's great.
It is. This is episode 38, available Tuesday, January 7th. Sammy, what's on the show?
Payoffs, layoffs, and playoffs.
Start the show. All right, I got the whole place to myself. Sammy had to call in sick tonight, or he had something else better to do. Kiwi, Sammy. Kiwi. But we appreciate the help from a little blonde fill-in there. She was great. We're going to change things up a little bit today. We have a fill-in for Sam later on. We're going to talk a lot of college football playoff and NFL playoffs, the firings, what's going on over at Fox Sports. Wowzers. Lots going on over there. But let's do the recap real quick of the college football and NFL picks.
College football picks.
All right, the college football playoff happened New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. It was a lot of fun, sort of. I had to pick every game because I like to torture myself. The first game we put on X, it was Penn State over 33.5. They were playing Boise State. The final on that was Boise State 14. We needed 34, and Penn State got us 31. Thanks for nothing. Didn't want to bet that game. Really stupid. 0-1 to start off. But then we go to the early morning game. Texas, number 5 Texas at Arizona State. The total was 51. It was 17-8 early in the fourth quarter, so it was not looking good. I was at the gym, and I just decided I'm walking out of here. Got into the car, looked at my phone, and they tied it up at one point. The end of the game in overtime, 39-31. Hit that one easy, but it only took several overtimes and a lot of really good breaks. So 1-1. Then we had Ohio State at Oregon. I took Oregon plus 3. They lost 41-21. The total was right there, 55.5. Should have gone over. That hit. Ugh, damn it, 1 and 2. And then my play, the one I said, this is going to hit. We had number 7, Notre Dame, and number 2, Georgia. I picked Georgia Pick'em. I said Georgia's defense alone will win this game. This is going to be easy. Notre Dame is overrated. And Notre Dame scored 23, and Georgia scored 10. But that will not stop me. 1 and 3 for week 17. 23, 31-1 for the season. I didn't have Sammy to help me out or pull me back on anything. It's kind of his fault. On NFL picks.
NFL picks.
All right, college went bad. So, you got to pick it back up on NFL picks. We picked 5 games. Winning record? We shall see. We took Bengals at Steelers. We took Bengals at a pick'em. The line opened up at Bengals minus 1.5, and I said, I don't like to play around with the points here. So we're going to buy it down because we can't do favorites. We only take underdogs, overs, and props. It's the rules that everyone has to stick to. So I bought them. I bought the points down. It was not that expensive. Decided to do that. The line went up to plus 2.5 at game time, and the Bengals did win 19-17. If I had given the points, laid the points, that's why we don't do this here. Would have lost that bet. So yeah, Bengals 19-17. 1-0. And then we went to Chargers at Raiders. I said, we looked at this. I said, if the total, Chargers team total is around 24, I would take that. It got to 23.5 minus some chalk. I said, that's the bingo number. Raiders 20, Chargers 34. 2-0. Perfect. And then Chiefs at Broncos. I said, the Broncos are going to probably run away with it. I thought about taking their team total, but it was 26.5. It was too much. So I just took the total over 40. The Chiefs have a backup quarterback that won the Super Bowl, Carson Wentz. I was like, they're going to maybe do a little bit. The Broncos scored 38, so all I needed was 3 out of the Chiefs. And the Chiefs scored 0. So I lost that one. Whoopsies. 2-1. All right, and then I took 2 in the Sunday night football game. I really thought the Vikings plus 3 was a good play, but then I'm like, the Lions are going to come out. I don't know. So I took a prop. I took Jameson Williams over 60.5 yards. He's a big, deep threat. He usually puts up some big numbers, or he has kind of a bad night, doesn't score much. I needed 61. He gave me 34. 0-1 on that one. And then I kind of panicked, and I took the Lions team total over 21.5. This was at the 2-minute warning before halftime. 21.5, I'm like, they only got 7. They're going to put up some points. They ended up getting a field goal at the end before half, so they had 10. And then they started to take over. The Vikings only scored 9 points. That was bad. The Lions scored 31. Fantastic. Some of those player props, it was a good good weekend to watch. Mike Evans made a lot of money. Geno Smith made a lot of money. Saquon Barkley, he could have broken the record, but his team said, do not play. We want you for the playoffs. That was a smart move. But, you don't go down in the history books. Sammy's pick. Sammy picked Vikings at Lions, and he picked Vikings +3. We knew that didn't come through. Shocking. Sammy's pick. But he picked another game. Seahawks at Rams, over 39.5. The Seahawks scored 30. He only needed 10 out of the Rams. They scored 25. 1-1, Sammy. But for the season, 5-10-1. Might want to fade this guy. He's not putting in the effort. He's obviously not even showing up anymore. We don't know if he's coming back. He's coming back. But we have someone to fill in for him today to talk a lot of football. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Well, thank God somebody showed up for work today. Thankfully, Richie Edward Valentine III is back with us. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well, my man. Doing well. Hope I saw we broke the ratings records after the last one, so I'm back. I'm ready.
I mean, through the roof. I can't. My phone won't stop ringing. They're like, you finally found the secret sauce to the show, and it is Richie Valentine.
Good to be back with you, buddy.
You did really well with your pick. I, on the other hand, not so much. So I wanted to bring back someone to know what they were talking about. You didn't believe in Georgia, and that was, you're right.
I didn't. Just it was just a quarterback thing, to be honest with you. I think that starters are starters for a reason, and I tend to believe Carson Beck. And quite frankly, the receivers aren't all that great either. They dropped a lot of passes this year. I mean, and Carson Beck has his problems, but he's a local Jacksonville kid, so we get a lot of updates from him, not just at Georgia, but just growing up. And the receivers didn't help him much. I don't think the play helped them much. So I thought they were vulnerable to begin with. But if you take away the starter and a kid who's never played, then you're just asking for trouble.
The lights were too bright for Gunnar Stockton. He just wasn't getting anything
It
done.
really was. And it kind of sucks for the kid because I'm sure he'll probably be pretty good. But it was a lot.
It's a lot. I mean, it takes time for these things. That's why, like this, and we could talk a lot about this, but this transfer portal and this NIL money and this pressure on these young kids to perform is really going to have some horror stories in the long run. I mean, it's inevitable. So,
and I think I heard something that there's like 6,000 kids or something like that in the portal right now, just on any different level. And the number of kids and the number of open scholarships aren't even close.
Wow.
So, I think that's the other part of this that we're going to start hearing a little bit soon, right? Is that what happens to, little Valentine, who was going here, right? Left Georgia for more money and messed it up. And now he's just a regular student, going to community college. I mean, there's some unintended consequences to all this that we're not seeing yet.
The Netflix documentary on this in a couple of years is going to be very fascinating because people didn't understand that you can't go from, hey, this kid can't work at a car wash for $50 because that's against NCAA rules, to he can sign a $12 million contract, no questions asked.
We're talking about Quinn Ewers being able to going for $5 or $6 million on the in the portal if he were to leave Texas for Arch, to start next year at Texas. That's nuts.
And really, like, what? I don't know. I think Ewers is okay. I don't think he's great. I don't see greatness with him.
I'm with you. I think he's good enough. I think they have enough to win it all, but I would not put him at the top of that list.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that, I think Sark and his offensive play calling from a Texas point of view, like, we watched him up close and personal for, a few years at Alabama, right? Brilliant. Everybody knew Devontae Smith was getting the ball in the 2020 championship game, right? And he was the MVP of the game and didn't play the fourth quarter because he broke his finger, right? So, and if you watch the overtime against Arizona State, the plays when they had to have it, I thought the fourth down pass was perfect play call, and then the one coming out, when they got the ball back and he threw it to the tight end for the touchdown. That was a brilliant play call. Like, I think Sark has all of that, but I just don't trust Quinn Ewers. And if you Quinn, but if he were on Ohio State's team, I
Mhm.
would say that it would be I think that they would win it in a walk. I still have concerns about Ohio State's quarterback play as well, but I think Ewers is better than Will Howard.
Yeah. Will Howard's been around for a while. He's been around, but
He's just been a guy.
yeah,
He's just been a guy.
yeah,
And quite frankly, I think they kind of screwed it up. I thought Kyle McCord was fine. They just, they lost to Michigan.
yeah,
Can't lose to Michigan like that.
yeah. I don't think they need Will Howard to be special. I think with the wide
I don't
receivers, I mean, you talk about Georgia not having wide receivers, and then you look at Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith, Lord Almighty, is good. And they keep reloading every year. They just get amazing wide receivers.
They went and they got the Judkins kid from Ole Miss, like the running backs. I thought Travion Henderson was really good. I mean, as long as he was healthy, but now you got to split carries. Their offense is second to none.
Yeah, yeah, and they're gelling at the right time.
Mhm.
You clearly know what you're talking about with college football, Rich. So I got a fast five for you, my friend.
All right, let's do it.
Best college football players of all time. The guy you want on your team. Not necessarily the best, but whatever you want to say. All right? Because there's going to be a couple tricky ones here for you.
You threw a couple of curveballs at me last
Try
time.
to keep your personal bias and hatred out of it. Just say the best player. The best player.
Will do.
All right? Because there's a couple tricky ones. Vince Young
All right.
or Cam Newton. Tricky one for you.
Yeah, that's tricky. Yeah. Screw the anger. We're going with Vince Young.
I
But yeah, you can make the argument.
It's close. It's close. I went back to it. I was like, it's Cam, and it is Vince Young. I think you're right. It's Vince Young. All right. You got a wide receiver on your team, okay?
Right?
I think a lot of people are going to jump and say, oh, this is the easy choice. We'll find out. Michael
All right.
Irvin, the playmaker, one of the greatest to ever play the game, or Randy Moss, college.
I was gonna say we're talking college here,
College.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it is all that close. I thought Randy Moss in a walk, man.
I agree with you, but who did he play against? I mean, I think we realized that his game translated so well to the NFL. The answer is Moss, but Irvin was so good. I don't think people realize like how much of a difference maker he was. But he was on an excellent team. But his
he
game
was on an
translated
excellent
too.
team with other receivers, and I'd be interested to see what he would do if he were playing when Randy Moss was playing, right?
Yeah.
Throw it like that.
Yeah.
You have because didn't he wind up in the Heisman race too 1 year?
I think so because of that. Yeah. But Pennington turned out to be a decent pro. So not for the Dolphins, of course. But
I was wondering where that was going. Yeah.
he was a Jet and then a Dolphin. He was fine on the Dolphins, but nobody was, we haven't found our guy yet, it looks like. More on that later.
Well, yeah, we'll be back in the next passcode.
Yeah. I was trying to find someone that compared to Randy Moss. Like a big, because you don't want to say Jerry Rice because another guy who played on a team that you didn't really watch. It was a little before our time anyways.
He was that guy, right? He was the perfect example, right? He was the difference between the receivers that go up and get it guys, the 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guys you see now in the NFL. And kind of like the Jerry Rices, the smaller, faster route runner, types. He was the first dude that would jump over you, run around you, run through you. Like you couldn't tackle him. And I think the point about competition is fair, but then we saw he did it in the NFL as a rookie,
He did it in the NFL, and he probably should go down as the greatest ever, but he just had some issues. I mean, he had issues starting with the recruitment at Notre Dame. I mean, he got kicked out of Notre Dame, then went to FSU, where they take anybody, and they'll let him get away with a murder, and then he got kicked out of there too. So, I mean, if Bobby Bowden couldn't wrangle you in, he found a way to make a Hall of Fame career out of it, and he's ill now. We hope we hope he gets better from that. Poor son of a gun.
For him. I didn't know that till the Monday night game a couple weeks ago, when the Vikings. But
God, if Randy Moss can get sick with some sort of illness like that, y'all got everybody get checked out. Son of a gun. It's scary.
100%.
Scary, scary, scary. What if I put Michael Irvin or Julio Jones in there? Who do you got?
I'm not. It doesn't even matter. It's Julio.
It's
And
Julio, right?
I will say this. All right. I'm gonna say this with Julio. He is the guy. If you want to be pissed at anybody, any player, if you're a Bama hater watching this, right? He's the guy. He was
Yeah.
the first guy that Saban went and got. That was that dude.
That dude.
And from the first time he played, the first game against Clemson till he left. I mean, that guy
Changed everything.
and he's the first guy that could have gone anywhere that we got in a long time.
Yep. He was fantastic. All right. This will be interesting. Reggie Bush or Ricky Williams.
Reggie Bush.
It's so close. It's so close. If I'm recruiting, I'm taking Ricky because I like the bigger, nastier guys. But Reggie was so good in college.
What do you? I guess it depends on what offense or what you plan to run, right? Because
Absolutely.
Ricky running the ball. I mean, yeah, he was second to none running it, right? But Reggie did everything: punt returns, running back could split them out. You could do all kinds of things with that dude.
I know.
He's
We saw a couple guys, earlier when we were younger, like a Rocket Ishmael or somebody like that could really take the top off of things. And Reggie could do all that and then some, and he could run the ball. I mean, he was a fantastic running back. So yeah, that's a tough one.
Rolling around South Florida when they played that Fresno State game back a long time ago. Nobody needs to know about that. But I think he scored like 5 or 6 touchdowns or something like that.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I know. These are some good players. One of your favorites, because your other team growing up, UNC, North Carolina, Lawrence Taylor, LT. You're looking at a linebacker, pass rushing linebacker, Lawrence Taylor or Derek Thomas, DT.
In college.
In college.
See, I don't. It's probably Derek Thomas because I remember him in college.
Yeah,
but the answer is probably Lawrence Taylor. But I don't remember him playing in college. I mean, I've seen highlights of it. And for those who don't know, he looks exactly like my dad when he was in college. Their college football pictures look exactly alike.
Your dad had a couple of doppelgangers running around. Lawrence Taylor in 80 had 16 sacks, which is a lot. In 88, Derek Thomas had 27. Derek Thomas is the answer, my friend. He left Bama with 52 sacks.
And the motivation is great. They just wanted to beat all the Cornelius Bennett's records at Alabama.
I know. They said Derek Thomas just had he did not run out of energy at all. He was late to everything.
Which unfortunately led to his demise. But
yeah. All right, last one. Charles Woodson. You're not going to find many better cornerbacks than Charles Woodson, or will you? Deion Sanders. You got to take one for your team.
I'm taking prime time for the same reason I took Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
You could line them up. I don't think they played him at receiver all that much at FSU, but punt returns. That punt return against Clemson is for some reason one of my favorite college football. Like it's one of those that is right there.
Yeah. Woodson was unbelievable. We were all thrilled that he beat Peyton Manning for the Heisman. That was fantastic, being Bama boys at the time. But Deion didn't have some of the plays that Woodson had, because Woodson did a lot. Like he was really involved. He was really he deserved
return suit. Now that I think about it,
yeah. But
you make a good point though, because he does. I forgot about the punt returns. I mean, he had the punt return against Ohio State.
Yeah. But the reason I think Deion didn't have as many some of the plays is because they didn't want to have anything to do with him. They didn't even throw to his side half the time. So they avoided the living daylights out of him. So it's Deion. Deion was he was different.
Just putting it all together, right? All that, and then putting the prime time. I mean, he called his shot on the punt return. I think he told the story is he told the Clemson sideline, "I'm taking this to the house."
Really?
Battle
Special.
crying, it's about time or something like that. It's some over the top arrogant quote. But
Yep. Yep. All right. I got the games here. Notre Dame, Penn State. Notre Dame currently is -1.5. Total 45.5. You see anything you like there?
I wouldn't touch the side.
Mhm.
But if I did have to play the side, I'd probably take I like Penn State. I think you know, as good as Notre Dame, I guess the margin looked. I think we talked about it, the quarterback, and that game really turned on two plays. If you look at it, right, like
Mhm.
right before halftime, the turnover, and then Notre Dame kicks the field goal, and then coming out of halftime, the kickoff return. I mean, that's 10 points right there. And if you're already in the lead, I think that gave them the cushion to let them play the way they wanted to play.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, if you look at the stats, I was looking at before we came on, getting ready for this. I mean, Riley Leonard threw for 90 yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
90, ran
Yeah.
for 90, threw for 90. They did enough to not lose the game.
Yeah. He's going to have to do a lot more, especially the Penn State defense can be pretty dominant. I thought the Georgia defense was going to win that game for him, and they did.
It was close. I mean, they tried, but
Yeah. Riley Leonard he didn't have to do that much. So
that's right.
He'll have to do more in this game, I think. I kind of like Notre Dame here. It's a tough one for me. I don't like either school. Maybe I shouldn't even watch the game. I have a girls softball meeting that night because I do something to help them out. So maybe I'll just stay there for a while and not watch that
God
game.
bless you. I may find something to do on Thursday.
Right. And then Ohio State, that's your pick still. They're giving 6.5 to Texas, and the total's 53.5. You see anything you like there?
Boy, I would probably lean to the over.
I kind of think the over too. I haven't done it yet, but I think I'd take Notre Dame, and I think I'd take the over in the Ohio State Texas game.
Yeah.
So
I think I do believe Ohio State wins. I think, and if I had to take a side there, I probably would lay it with Ohio State. I think that there's something, there's something there.
yeah,
That looks different.
yeah, and maybe that's the answer because I'm looking. If you're going to bet on DraftKings here, Ohio State's -120, so you bet 120, win 100. If you want Notre Dame, it's +400. Texas +450 and Penn State's +550. I don't know. It's almost like an even money bet to take Ohio State. They got to win 2 games, but they definitely look like the team. So maybe I'm stacking all my chips on them. So
yeah, I think the one thing that I think it was like kind of like the Notre Dame Georgia game. I think Ohio State, if they can get out to a good start,
yeah,
I think that's the way that and I can see them continuing to do that. The defense is pretty nasty, on the levels, right?
yeah.
And if Will Howard doesn't have to win it for you, I think because again, I think they came out. But you got dudes like Jeremiah Smith, like you said, they punched Oregon in the mouth, and it was over. It was
over real quick. It was over real quick.
Yeah.
So.
And if they can get out to a lead and let the defensive ends go get it, I think Texas will get theirs. I think they'll score a little bit. Sark's just that good of a play caller. I think he might be the best in college football in that. Coming up with a game plan and getting his guys the ball.
I agree. He's not a likable son of a bitch. He looks like he needs to be punched in the nose a little bit, but yeah, what are you gonna do?
He's pretty arrogant.
He'd probably say the same thing about me with my little podcast. Bring it on, Sark.
Yeah,
bring it on, Sark. All right, Rich. Appreciate your input and appreciate your insight on this. But we got to talk a little NFL. I got to get my notes. You ready for a little NFL talk?
We'll do that. Maybe I'll change the outfit.
Change your outfit, but don't change the attitude. I want to see some of this Jaguars fire. We're coming right back. Let me see that shirt, big dog.
Wardrobe change, like I told you. Funny how.
Funny how, like I am usual.
That's right. I'm not here to amuse you today. Not with my NFL take.
Tommy. What a great movie. What a great movie.
Great movie.
Goodfellas or Casino? They're both on. What do you watch?
God. Well, in the man cave here, I have 4 screens, so I'm watching both on twice. So
I don't think that's for movies, Rich. I don't think you watch 2 movies on at the same time. Twice. I don't know. I love I love Goodfellas because of Henry, but uh, uh, I don't know. Casino kind of has a little bit of a better flow to it. I don't know. They're both great
That's probably I think I would go with Casino by a hair.
by a hair. I know.
Yeah,
If Casino had Ray Liotta in it, it would be Casino easy.
true.
But Ray Liotta was great. God rest his soul. One of the best. One of the best.
One
All
of the
right.
best.
We're gonna jump right into it, and then don't let me forget to get your take on Skip Bayless because I want to talk about Skip Bayless at some point. Let's look at the bracket here real quick. What's that?
I was just reading that.
Boy, oh boy, what a
Yeah.
mess they got! All right, real quick, what
All right,
a mess they got.
Yeah, we can't bury that at this
Yeah.
point. Got to give the people what they want.
Let's okay. So, all right, fine. Skip Bayless is getting sued. He's in a lawsuit. A lot of things came out about it. He apparently offered $1.5 million to a hairdresser to have sex with him. She said, "You're married." He said, "Why do you care? You're Muslim. Doesn't your dad have 4 brides or 4 wives?" And she's like, "My dad's dead." He's like, "Whatever." He looks like a monster. I think he probably is a monster.
He's a monster. He's a
Yeah.
phony shock jock monster, and
Jo-
that's the disturbing. And all jokes aside, right, with this thing, that's the disturbing part of this whole thing is that it is not out of the realm of possibility to see him trying to do something like this. Like that. That's I guess the point.
I know. And then he gets kind of covered up because Joy Taylor's on there. And Joy Taylor apparently was sleeping with a lot of guys, admitted in this court filing, admitted that she was doing it to advance her career. And then they said, well, you shouldn't mess with this one guy. He's powerful. He could do some stuff. She goes, oh, I already got that set up. I'm going to say that he forced himself on me if he ever tries anything. And then I'll use that in my power too. Holy cow.
Ugh.
Holy cow. Like
What a mess.
accusing somebody of like when you get accused of something like that, all people remember is the accusation. So it really ruins people.
100%. Like you cannot put that toothpaste back in the tube, and you have to
No.
be really, in daily life. I have started walking like the other direction. Just I don't want to be part of any of that stuff. Like,
No, you're a professional. You got to act professionally. I know a lot. I have a lot of female friends. They've told me some horror stories of working in industries, and they'll go to happy hours, and guys will be very, very inappropriate with them. And
Yeah.
I'm glad there's whistleblowers. We need that. You and I have daughters. I want there to be a place where you go to your work and you get treated with respect, and you earn your paycheck, and you go home, and you don't have this pressure to degrade yourself to some scumbag because he could advance your career or maybe have you fired if you don't do something. So,
yeah.
but the flip side of that is you don't get to accuse somebody of something they didn't do. So a lot of stuff is still coming out. Who knows? But boy, it's an ugly story.
It's ugly, and not that there's winner. I don't want to say that, but Shannon Sharp probably made the exit stage at the perfect time before all this stuff came out.
He feels vindication, and he will have his restitution.
That's right. He will get his restitution.
I will get my restitution. Yeah. There's gonna be some payoffs. Some people are gonna get paid. So, and Fox Sports, shame on you. You hire some scumbags, and if this is true, you need to clean house. So, yeah. Speaking of cleaning house, the Jaguars should have, and they only fired one guy.
And they did not. Yeah. And quite frankly, they fired. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and take a huge Doug Peterson stance here. He was pretty terrible. They're predictable. That's the one thing that Shad Khan said today that was accurate, was that the offense was predictable and the defense needed to be better. But he did it on a Zoom call like this. I don't know if you saw it. And
I didn't see that.
sitting right next in the screen right next to him. They wouldn't even go to the facility to do this press conference. They're doing it over Zoom, taking questions through Zoom.
Wow.
And Bucky's just sitting there like the cat that ate the canary. Just
boy. These guys get away with it. There's this fraternity of these guys. And look, I love being a man. It's great, but we have our problems. And these fraternities of people where they're empowered, like the stupid sports casting, like the coaching, where they're stealing money, they're ripping off the fans, they're doing bad shit. Like it needs to be blown up a little bit. These billionaire idiots, I don't know how they became billionaires because they have no common sense, some of them.
I have no idea how this guy did it. Got to be that. I guess he at this point, it just comes across as you don't care. And rather than sit there and feed me all this line of crap about, what needs to be better or whatever, just say you don't care. Say this is a cash cow for me. I got my stadium, I got my money, I've tripled, almost quadrupled the value. I think we bought for like 600 million and now it's worth 4 billion.
Yeah.
So he's making a ton of money on this thing. Just say you're in it for the money at this point.
I know. The Dolphins owner Stephen Ross is like, I'm a huge Dolphins fan. I'm like, no, you're not. You're abusing them. This is terrible.
He's never in Jacksonville, and that's why I knew he wasn't going to clean house.
Yeah.
It's because those things are the worst kept secret. Somebody would have leaked something about somebody getting fired, and when it didn't come out and especially when it didn't come out yesterday, like, all right. Either one is gone or he may not do anything. And I don't understand why you would keep your general manager that just keeps, this guy ran off Jim Harbaugh from San Francisco.
Yeah.
The guy was in the play, never had a losing record till the year that it all blew up. And now he's back in the NFL after winning the national championship in Michigan last year. And he's back in the playoffs again. And like nothing happened. And
nothing happened. Could make a Super Bowl run. Who knows?
I mean, it's ridiculous. And I say it a lot as a kind of a coping mechanism, but this year was no fun.
No.
Going to games, and at the end of the year, literally, you had to have a program to see who the hell was on the field.
Yeah.
Injuries and just guys that can't play. So it's a racket.
I feel like a lot of stories and a lot of bad management and running of teams has really been covered up by the next story. Gerard Mayo getting fired 1 year. They groomed him to be the successor to Belichick. They stack him with a bad team and then they can him. And I feel like they canned him because he blew the number one pick. He won too late. Like he wasn't doing exactly what they wanted him to do, but he's a young guy. He's a Tennessee linebacker. We won't hold that against him. But he had a great career.
From Virginia, so that's a win from Virginia, but that's a win.
But he's a young coach. He's a minority hire, which they I don't think they've had a whole lot of those in their franchise history. And then they do something where you give a guy 1 year. It's a bad look. It's a bad look, and it got covered up.
And that's a bad look. It's not a bad look. It sucks for Mayo, right?
Yeah.
Because now it looks like he's incapable of doing the job. He's got this stain on him, right? To your point. And now when he goes to get the next job, I guess they meet for like 8 hours in these interviews or whatever. The first 5 are going to be, well, what the hell happened in New England? Like, how did you screw this up? How did you?
Right.
They all love Drake May. Like everybody, from what I read, I mean, he had some rookie, issues or whatever. But there's no talent on that team. Like
no talent on that team. You brought in May late. Who was the starting quarterback in the beginning? Was it the old Gator quarterback?
Oh, that's right.
Played for the Dolphins.
Was it?
I'm blanking.
Was it?
What is it? It's Jacoby Brissett. I'm sorry, Jacoby Brissett. Yeah. It was Brissett, and like they were just kind of playing to lose. They had nobody on the roster. They put them in an impossible position. And they said, you know what, we're good. We saw enough of what they set them up to fail. Now they'll go get some Belichick sycophant back there that was kissing Robert Kraft's ass and.
They got to be going to get Vrabel, right? You don't make that move without having the guy, right?
I guess Vrabel's a good pick there, but maybe they're like he's too good to let go. But just say that. Don't fire Mayo and be like we're firing. We're firing him. It should be like we're getting Mike Vrabel because he's available and we can't wait any longer. And
Right.
this is a move for us. And we gave him a bunch of money and we hope he does well. But so Doug Peterson, Gerard Mayo, the only 2 firings so far, but there's 5 jobs open in the NFL now. The Chicago Bears, the New Orleans Saints, the New York Jets, the New England Patriots, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought it should have been the Miami Dolphins too. I think they should have cleaned house. Everybody should have gone. The whole team.
You're done with I'm blanking on that Mike
McDaniel? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had enough. And it seems like Jalen Ramsey said he wants to go, and Tyreek Hill says he wants to go. The talent says, we haven't been used right. We want out of here. That does not bode well on the head coach.
In normal situations, it doesn't. But those 2 dudes, Tyreek's been a head case, and I have personal experience with Jalen Ramsey down here. And
Okay.
he's a head case too. That wouldn't be as damning as it would be, I guess if it were other people or elsewhere.
It's a valid point, but I didn't see Tua come out and say this is a great team. We should stand behind our coach. I didn't see Jalen Waddle say I love our coach. I'm sorry to see those guys go. I didn't see anybody step up and stick up for him. So Tyreek and Jalen Ramsey are 2 of the biggest head cases in the league, but they nobody also said screw those guys. We got a good team here.
And if they left, they'd have a team in a second.
Yeah. But out of those 5 teams, Bears, Saints, Jets, Patriots, and Jaguars, if you're a coach, you're a talented coach, you can go to one of those places and look at their roster, look at their management, look at their ownership, look at their history. Where are you going? I mean,
I'm not trying to be the whole. I think this roster in Jacksonville is not 4-13 bad. I mean, you got some injuries. They weren't put in the right spots. I think you can build around Trevor. Now he has to be better.
Yeah,
the guys have to play better. But I think better scheme. I think we saw it, at the end of 22 that it can be done.
Yeah.
And I would probably say, but the answer is probably the Jets. But you have to address the quarterback because Aaron Rodgers was terrible this year.
He was terrible.
Bad. He was terrible this year.
But can anyone succeed there? It's where like players kind of go to die.
You look at all the teams that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I was joking. I may have even put it in our guys chat, our football chat. It was like I think this place is cursed. Like I at some point, especially if the ownership is involved in it, you can't. It is harder to be this bad consistently than it is to be the Chiefs for the last 10 years. Like you have to put as much thought in a league where the rules promote 8 and 9 teams or 9 and 8 or 10 and 7, those types of teams. For you to consistently pick it in the top 5 of the draft is as hard as it is to be as good as the Patriots were for 20 years.
Yeah. I think the Jets and the Saints jobs are probably the trickiest. The Jets, I think, is the hardest job because the fans expect too much. The ownership seems to have problems. Woody Johnson has to say, my 18-year-old son hasn't made coaching decisions here. My other teenage son isn't advising me on the Madden scores, but there's some evidence that suggests maybe he's lying and that he is taking advice from teenagers about what professionals are supposed to be doing, kids that aren't really playing the game. And the Jets, their fan base is really hard. The Eagles is another hard fan base. They got rid of Andy Reid because they expected too much. And look what Andy Reid's done in a calmer, a little more controlled environment with it looks like good ownership and a good culture there. So the Jets job seems like to be the worst. The Bears job is kind of right in the middle. I mean, they have some potential with Caleb Williams, but they need to get rid of their GM. Their ownership, everybody is saying the McCaskies, they all have to perish before anything gets done.
Well, I was going to take a page out of their book if it weren't 50 degrees and raining a couple weeks. That's how bad it's gotten in Jacksonville. You know me, I'll sit through anything, but I'm not sitting through that for 3-12 against the Titans. Will Levis in town. But I was going to start to sell the team chant. Like if me and 5 other people in the rain sell the team.
some of these things really start with the owners. And if they have the bad culture, Jerry Jones will put a lot of money into the team, but he doesn't seem to give up any control. You got to work for a man that's getting older and crazier as the minutes go by. So, like, I don't know if there's a great job out there, but it seems like the Hunt family is doing a decent job finding the right people and empowering them and putting them in the right positions. The Bears, not at all. The Jets, not at all. The Jags, you got some issues there. Robert Kraft might turn around with the Patriots. He seems to have some success, and he listens to the right people. That's tough.
These football people drive me nuts too. And this will be my on the front office stuff, right? You would think that football was brain surgery or rocket science, right? It's really not that big a deal. We're to the point here in Jacksonville. Like, we have been screaming for another rush in. It is. It's just to set the stage here. We have was it Josh Hines Allen led the team in sacks. Trayvon Walker. Not Aiden Hutchinson, by the way, picked the wrong guy in that, but a good player, an above average player. He could be a Pro Bowler at some point. Second on the team in sack, and Roy Robertson Harris was third. One, he's a defensive tackle for those, I see the look on your face. Nobody knows who the hell he is.
Yeah.
And second of all, he got hurt in week 6.
Wow. Yikes. Yikes. And I don't think he had 3 sacks a game before that.
Yeah, he had 2.5 sacks. He was third on the team with sacks for sacks. So yeah. And the fans have been screaming about it for 2 years now, and they feed you the same line of BS. But I guess in Chicago it's the same thing, right? With Poles in Chicago and all these other GMs that just in New York, I guess they were trying to get rid of Dayball and Joe Shine
and they kept them.
Whatever. They kept them. So
what a mess.
See.
What a mess. Well, enough talking about these losers, the Skip Baylesses and the loser football teams in the world. Let's talk about the bracket here. Pull it up here. You got the Chiefs and the Lions getting their first bye, okay? So let's talk the NFC first. The Texans Chargers. Who do you got coming out of that?
I like the Chargers. I'm not overly impressed with the Texans, and as a Jags fan, that is what pisses me off even more. If the Jags were competent this year, they could have challenged for the division. The division, is no good. And I think C.J. Stroud's taking a step back. I think some of the shine came off D'Amico a little bit with the whole Al-Shaair thing.
That was tough. They had a rough season.
Yeah. So in injuries, I'll take Harbaugh.
I like the Chargers there too. And then they're going to play the Chiefs. I don't think anybody beats the Chiefs, but Ravens Steelers. The Steelers are getting a ton of points. It opened at 10 points. What do you like in that one?
That's a lot of points. I like the Ravens. I rode Lamar to my fantasy football championship this year, and but to the earlier conversation, I'm not going to open the whole thing up again, but that is a perfect example of finding a talent and adapting to the talent that you have, right?
Yeah.
Going to get Derrick Henry this year to help him run the ball, and then it just opens up the field, right? Lamar's never going to be a 50 pass a game guy. He's never going to be Dan Marino, right? You're not going to drop him back and throw it all the time. And they found a perfect spot. They changed, thought a little bit outside the box. And I know it's going to be tough, but I would have given him the MVP again this year. I think he's to that level, but I wouldn't argue Josh if Josh Allen won it. It wouldn't be a shocker.
Yeah, I agree. And then Bills and Broncos. I think we're both picking the Bills there. Bills Ravens. That looks like it'll be the game, and that looks like it's going to be a great game. Chiefs. So first of all, we got Chiefs Chargers. I think that'll be a great game, but I think the Chiefs come out of that. What would you got? What would you have in Bills Ravens?
It's going to be in Buffalo.
Yeah,
and it'll probably be snowing, but I can only imagine we were talking in college earlier, about the pressure on Ryan Day next year against Michigan.
Yeah,
even if they win the national championship this year, the pressure on the Bills to win that game, to get to the AFC Championship in their place. Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see.
Absolutely, I'm taking the over. I'm taking that over. I'm already. The game hasn't even been decided yet. I'm taking that.
We take, but I'll lean towards the Bills.
I think it's Bills Chiefs. Who do you got in that?
Until they get knocked off, I'm going with the Chiefs, man. Mm.
They seem to get every damn break, but I'm going Bills. I'm going Bills in the AFC.
They get every break, some of them, you can argue calls and stuff like that or whatever, but some of them, and I think it happened last night. Andy Reid, one of the good things about him, why I like him so much, is he takes the points. If he's got a 40-yard and inside field goal and it's 4th and 1 in the second quarter, or 4th and 1 in the second quarter at the 30-yard line, he's going to kick a 47-yard field goal. Yeah. And in all these games this year, they've won them by 3, 6. They've won them by a score. Yeah. If you take that off of there, and the kid from the Vikings did it last night. Yeah. Inside the 5-yard line at the beginning of the game. I'm a big proponent of taking the points.
I agree.
This analytics stuff drives me crazy.
It's too much. People are losing their jobs over it. They're going too far. But I could easily see the Ravens Chiefs, and that would be a hell of a game too. Let's go to the NFC. You're thinking Chiefs. I'm thinking Bills in the AFC. Let's go to the NFC. Lions got the bye. The Rams Vikings out of that. Who do you like? After what we saw last night, I don't know.
I don't know what the Rams were thinking last night. Yeah, well, I just don't know I guess they knew they were going to get a home game, but I think I'd rather the Commanders and the Vikings. Yeah. But it's going to be at home. I think McVay is probably one of the better coaches that doesn't get a ton of credit for it.
Sure.
Talk about punchable faces. He's got one, but he's one of those. He's for some reason they play for that guy.
Yeah,
I'll take the Rams at home.
I'm going with the Vikings. All right, Buccaneers, Commanders. Tough one.
Yeah. I think boy, that is tough.
I know. You got some roots in the Washington area, so.
Yeah, I got some roots with the Commanders. I think I am going to ride with Jaden Daniels, though. I think they've figured something out.
I am too. That Bucs defense does nothing for me either.
And I could, a big shout out to Mike Evans too, by the way. Yesterday, I didn't know what the hell was going on, and kind of caught the back end of the red zone when they showed that or whatever. But that dude, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yes. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. All right. What do you like? It looks like we're running out of time here. Eagles, Packers. What do you got? I got Eagles.
We'll go with the Eagles.
Yeah, and then Eagles, Commanders. That'll be a very interesting game. I think
Commanders
get back.
They can win that game. I'm gonna go with the Eagles in Philly though.
Yeah, I got Eagles, and then looks like we're gonna take Lions, Eagles. What do you got in that one?
They're gonna do it. I'm scared to death of it because one of my buddies is a big Lions fan, but I'm going to go with the Lions. I think they win.
I think so too. I got Lions, Bills. You got Lions, Chiefs. Who's winning it all, Rich? Who's winning it all?
By the way, I would not be surprised if the Bills won that game, but I'll go with the Chiefs. And God, I want to do it, but I'm gonna go with I'll go with the chalk. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, but I would not be surprised. There's just something about Dan Campbell in a big spot that one of these isn't gonna go his way, right? Sure. Like just one of these 4th down trick play things.
He just inspires the shit out of them, though, and he gets away with a lot.
They love him.
Banged up, but they're playing hard and they're playing for him and they're making money and they're earning their paychecks.
They're playing for him.
I'm taking the Lions at this point. I haven't locked that in yet, but I think I'm taking the Lions to win it all. It just seems like it's fate. Jared Goff's going to get his comeuppance on some of these guys. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch.
This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to the NFL slate for sure. Yeah. Probably for the first time in a while. Probably because my team's not in it, but first more NFL than in the college this year.
Right.
But.
I hear you. All right, man. We've covered it all, Rich. We've covered it all. We've covered it all. Thanks for filling in for Sammy today. Thanks for coming in and giving us some more fantastic content. We'll have you back whenever you want to come back.
I'd love to come back. Yeah, I'm gonna do some of the food tasting stuff too. Though I stayed away from you guys got guts, man, with those Taco Bell nuggets. Something.
And then there's punishment. I mean, the pickle cotton candy. If you don't guess it right, it's chaos here. It's chaos. Our ratings are through the roof.
Don't I know it? Don't I know it?
Thanks for coming on, buddy. Thanks to Marion Keeley for helping us out today. Thanks for everything that you do for us, Rich. And thanks for watching, everybody. Follow us on X and Instagram at Poise Take a Pod. We will see you for the Thursday show. Sammy will be back, we hope. We don't know what that guy does, but he should be back.
I'm a phone call away if he's not back.
If not, it'll be this handsome devil there. All right. Thanks again for watching, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Thank you for everything, brother.
You got it, man. Love you, man. Take care.
Talk to you soon. Love you, pal.